Hello and welcome to Talk in the Microphone. A song. Let's start over.
Come on, make this pro. Make this pro.
I don't know. We're pro. We're professional. We don't make mistakes. Hello, welcome to Talk in the Microphone, a podcast where we talk about the entire discography of Logan Whitehurst and the Junior Science Club. I am Conner Nyberg, and I am a Logan Whitehurst fan.
My name's Owen Otto, and I'm mostly just some guy, but I also used to be friends with Logan and play music with him.
Indeed. And it has been 4 years since our last episode.
Yikes.
We
could have got a college degree.
The entire time we've been toiling in various basements across Nigeria, working on this episode. We've been working with the best of the best just to make this episode as good as it can be. That's why there's been a 4-year delay. That's totally why.
Wow, a lot of pressure. Yeah, we have a very detailed outline that we're about to follow.
170-page Bible. I would call it the Bible because I mean it's sacred to me. It's dear to me. But I guess we can give like a brief update as to like what we've been doing since September of 2019. A lot has happened for sure.
Yeah. Well, we had a pandemic. That was fun. So I moved, we recorded all the previous episodes when I lived in Switzerland, and I moved back to the Bay Area. I finished making a solo album called Ausländer, and what else did I do? I formed
You're in a band.
Yeah, I formed a new band that's playing a form of Latin music called psychedelic cumbia. It's called Cumbia Paradiso. And yeah, it's fun to be in a live band again.
It is very good. I would highly recommend checking it out. Should we announce that you're doing an EP soon? Hey, you'll be
working on a new solo EP that's almost done. Just finessing one song left, and it's more. It's a much more like experimenting on the computer kind of music. Nice. So, what have you been up to, Conner? I know you have some big stuff going on.
Well, I'm glad you asked, Owen. Ever since we last talked, I have been working on the Logan documentary. Did a couple of fundraisers for that. Been on the road interviewing people such as yourself, Owen.
Yeah.
It's been coming along really well. It is now July 5th when we're recording this of 2023. The film is still in post-production, but it's coming along really well. We're just slimming down the cut, adding in animation, B-roll, archival materials, and it's looking really good. We're trying to get it done and entered into festivals by October. That's our timeline right now. So future me will be sure to listen back on this, and we'll have to let me, past Conner, know if indeed we hit that deadline. Future Conner to past Conner here. It is January 24th, 2024. You do indeed hit that October deadline, and now you're waiting to hear back from several film festivals about whether or not you got in. Also, you spent entirely too much time not editing this episode. What's with that? Also to note that Owen's new EP, Working from Mars, has been released, and you can check it out on Bandcamp or wherever you get your music streamed. But it's been really, really good to hear about Logan from so many different people, and just like what Logan meant to them. It's just been really enlightening, and I think fans of Logan, or maybe people who don't know about Logan, I think will be really entertained to know like what kind of person Logan was, and just getting to know and appreciating the music that he made, probably on a deeper level than when I got into him, because there was barely any knowledge about him at the time. So I hope that this documentary kind of deepens the appreciation for him as a person and for his work. That's my hope and goal.
Yeah, I'm super excited to see it, and I'm really interested to see if all these people you interviewed have the same picture of him as I do, or if some like different facets emerge. It's going to be fun to see.
So yeah, while we're taking a break from our respective lives and works, we're going to do what we promised we would do 4 years ago, which is talk about the Denture Doorknob mini album and the mini album of Love. Two minor yet extremely important additions in the Logan Whitehurst discography that we failed to go over due to time. So let's begin with Denture Doorknob. So I'm Owen, if you can get some perspective here, like what would have been, this would have been 1999 when Logan released this. So this would have been like an mp3.com release. What would have been the benefit of him putting this together? Something like this, which essentially would be like, I mean, it's kind of like his B-sides collection. I mean, because you have some songs that are new, but a good number of them that have been previously released.
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't fully remember why he did this, though I feel like I used to know.
Okay.
I mean, obviously it was mostly to get these like little odds and ends out, but it's a little bit interesting that some of the songs are on the other albums. So, and that may be because at least the ones on I Would Be a Biggest Octopus, I don't know if he was releasing those on mp3.com. They might have been only on cassettes.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Do you know?
No, I don't have a good timeline. I know he did put up those two albums onto mp3.com, but I'm not sure where in the timeline. So yeah, this probably came out after Electrostatic Motors, so I think you have a point there. I think he may not have even uploaded the tapes at this point.
It's possible, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I think clearly when you listen to this, you should be thinking that it's more of a B-sides collection. Mm-hmm. That context is helpful, and I think it's, to me, both of these mini albums, what I like about them is that you're seeing more of the inner workings and process. Mm-hmm. More than, definitely these wouldn't be like the first thing I'd hand somebody to check out Logan.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to dig deeper, these do kind of show more of that process and thinking, and that's what I like about them.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I think it's really interesting to hear kind of, because like a lot of this, especially on this first mini album, like he really admits some of these are like first takes or improvisations he had with his siblings and friends, basically just like one-offs, just kind of like getting it out there, getting it done. And so it is interesting to kind of like hear the improvisation and impromptu creativity that like he would constantly put off to find like songs that would stick and would end up on his further albums, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's sort of like or it could be kind of experimenting with getting different sounds. Mm-hmm. And while maybe the output of this track, it doesn't come out to be a masterpiece in itself, those sort of techniques appear later on, some of the real masterpieces. Yeah,
exactly. So we will begin listening through Denture Doorknob with track 1. Speaking of a song that appears on a later album, this is Calculator Love.
I just bought a calculator at the corner store. Brought it home an hour later, added up the score. If you really love me, darling, count it up and see. And we can solve our problems with some trigonometry.
Well, it's another science-y Logan song. One of the main threads in the Logan canon.
Absolutely. We talked about this at length on the Earth is Big episode, which all of you should listen to right after this. But I mean, yeah, it's great. It's basically Tom Lehrer meets the Chipmunks. It's just like a really fun piano song, and I think this is the only one on the mini album that would later go on to be on Earth is Big.
Okay, so maybe he thought it might be a B-side at first.
Yeah, exactly.
He decided he liked it.
Precisely. So it's interesting to kind of see that as well, the process of going from kind of like side brush, kind of like B-side little release to, this is one that's going to end up on the actual album. But yeah, Calculator Love. I mean, what's there not to love? Now we go into The Sailor Who Went Insane.
Good morning. I have a story to tell. It is a tale of great tragedy, of fear, of madness, of the suffering and seemingly endless torture that one poor helpless man was meant to... Security. Him, right over there. Yes, that's
This is a fun one.
We were, in your interview for the documentary, you mentioned how Logan was really influenced by, like, radio plays, particularly for Farkle, but I think here you can definitely hear, like the serialized kind of like narrator feel of it all, and the sound effects and the meta joke with the laughing sound effect.
Yeah, exactly. And it might not just be radio things. It might also be like records that you put on and you sort of read a book while you're listening to the record.
Like the story.
I think it's both of those kinds of things are definitely a big influence. And when I hear this one, I hear him just like being, sitting there being like, oh, it'd be really fun to make it sound like this like creak of a ship.
Yeah.
This like creaky sound. And so I think this one is more like, is kind of a genre exercise more than it kind of sounds to me like he didn't write it beforehand, which would have made the kind of like the actual content is kind of weak, but the like the fun and the sort of like making it have this particular sound of this kind of radio play that's introduced by this character who's somewhat sinister. Those things are all spot on.
Oh yeah, and absolutely, and I think he even makes that joke at the end of it. It's like, there's a bit too much build up for this one. But yeah, like you're saying, the whole point of this track is really to really lean into that feel of the radio play and Storytime record. Also, there's an accordion on this track. Did Logan play an accordion?
I don't remember him playing accordion. I was wondering if it could be concertina, but it does sound like accordion.
I think it was. Like, I thought it was a concertina originally too, but there's definitely, it's way too many notes.
I wouldn't be surprised if I wouldn't be surprised if he like borrowed an accordion but didn't actually know how to play it and sort of made this song out of that fact by just having like two chords or something. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how this track came about, but I don't really remember that in specific. But it kind of sounds, the song has this sound like an exercise to me.
No, that I definitely get that feel as well. For the intro and for the accordion. It's unfortunate because you don't really hear the accordion on many other tracks. So it's kind of a little Logan rarity there. Now, this next track, Owen, are you ready for Happiness and Loveliness?
I'm ready.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Raise your hands up to the sky and dream of something beautiful. Never, ever, ever dream of something less than beautiful. Happiness and loveliness, and honesty and peacefulness, and placidness and cleanliness, and charity and hopefulness.
This is absolutely one of the most underrated songs by Logan. I'm just gonna say it right now. This is probably, if we had to like readjust our top 10, I would put this up there. This is
okay.
This is really the joke is just so on point. Like, it just works on every level.
I like how you built tension in this episode by saying that there was one of these coming up. So I will say that I have a song that I feel that way about that's coming up later as well.
Oh, all right. I'm ready. I'm on the edge of my seat, quite literally. Wait. Now I am.
So what exactly is he parodying right here?
I don't know specifically what he's parodying, but it's almost like, and we'll probably talk about this with Skinny Dip, right? It's just like that kind of cheesy, like that kind of 80s backing track. It's like, I love you, kind of like song. Everything is beautiful. But here it's just like it begins that way, and then it very subtly but drastically takes a change for the worse.
There's just something really, it feels like he's imitating a particular singer, but I don't know who it is, who's singing in this like really morose style. Even though it sounds kind of positive and beautiful, it sort of sounds like a little bit sleepy.
Yeah, like Morrissey kind of.
It's kind of Morrissey-ish. But does this seem like a Morrissey parody? I don't know.
I don't listen to enough Morrissey to tell you. But honestly, this is one of my favorites. Also, there's a freaking whale song throughout the track. don't know if you noticed that, like the very beginning and throughout, like you hear like the little groans. I thought those were like coyotes, but it's a whale song.
It's a whale sing. How did you find that out?
Logan put that on his mp3.com description of the song. That's the only way I would have known. Otherwise, I would have thought for sure it was like a coyote or a wolf.
Did you have to like go into the Internet Archive or something to go back and find his mp3.com page and get those kind of things?
Fortunately, Jason Steele has an archive of Logan's all of his mp3.com stuff, and if you check in the lyrics and info, he has all the lyrics as well as like the actual descriptions that Logan would put for each song. So that's very fortunate on our regard, because a lot of mp3.com stuff is just like kaput. Actually, and this is off topic, and we can probably cut this out. There was recently like a terabyte or something of mp3.com songs like that were thought to be lost actually came up on the Internet Archive. So a bunch of just like random tracks have just popped back up, and I think people are just beginning to kind of take mp3.com archival seriously again. It's really cool to see.
Oh, by the way, I like when I'm listening to a podcast and they say we should cut this out, but then they didn't cut it out, because then it feels like you're getting secret content.
This is it. This is some secret content for you guys.
It's risky.
We should probably cut this out. Anyway, happiness and loveliness. I'm a big fan of it. Also, it reveals Logan's violent tendencies that just kind of pop up every once in a while.
Yeah. It's a goodie.
Alrighty, a goodie indeed. And from a goodie to Pune Nijan.
Well, there's a story about Pune Nijan. Well, once upon a time down in the south of the bayou, I saw a man named Pune Nijan.
Pooh-Nanny stole my wallet.
Well, that there Pooh-Nanny John, he was like Superman and stuff, you know, he could do anything, especially wrestle them chihuahuas.
Well, I heard when you walked up to him on the street and said hi, he looked at you and went,
Yow! Pooh-Nanny John stole my wallet.
So going off the archive again here, Logan says that this is actually an improvisation between him and Elliot. So this is just like literally him and his brother like coming up with this fictional character, and then he just went back and put like an instrumental over it.
Yeah, and you can tell that it's improvised because they're just saying stuff that doesn't make any sense. But it sort of gets a certain it gets a certain flow to it that is funny. But if you just read it, you'd be like, this isn't funny at all.
Basically, this is just Logan playing with his brother, essentially. Like, this is just like probably how they used to pass the time, and so he just recorded it and then put like a little honky-tonk piano over it. And yeah, it's just fun. Yeah. It's just a fun little insight.
Experiment with different sounds and things like this.
Exactly.
It's, I think that one of my theories of Logan is that he's like mostly trying to make his friends laugh, or sort of like make his friends laugh by listening to it, or like make a friend laugh while they make it together.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is an instance of him definitely trying to do that. I think him and Elliot are just trying to make each other laugh here, which is, it's just so wholesome and nice to hear. Also, there's a fake phone recording at the end of this track. That's very easy to pass by, but it's just so goddamn weird.
My mom said I can't play with you anymore. She said she thought it was kind of weird how you kept playing with that big thing that makes noise. It sounds like a pirate thing. I think it's called, no, it's not a piccolo. No, it's not a accordion. It's a weird thing, and my mom got scared of it. And so she said I can't play with you.
Also, real quick before we move on, I just noticed this on the last 3 tracks. I think Logan was having fun with the record static sound effect. I just noticed on like the Sailor Went Insane and Happiness, and then this one, like it's hard to tell because they're low quality MP3s, but there's like the crackling of a record. So maybe that's just kind of like supposed to give it some sense of continuity. Who knows? Why is the record static in Denture Doorknob? Follow along as we solve the mystery with Tea Time.
Fire on the water, it's time for tea. Fire on the water at the bottom of the sea. Water for you, coffee for me. Fire on the water, it's time for tea. Man versus nature, nature versus man. Soda tastes better when it's straight from the can.
This one sounds to me like one of those songs where he had a little bit of free time but didn't have any plan. and just started making something. There's one like this where he says the alphabet or something on "I Would Be a Biggest Octopus."
Yeah.
And it sounds like one of those, like, kind of, let's just record something kind of thing.
Exactly.
It comes out in this, like, there's like a drill sample going on over and over again. It's kind of it's a bizarre series of lyrics.
Exactly, and it reminds me a lot of like Napoleon the 14th, "They're Coming to Get Me Away, haha" guy. Like, it's got that kind of like same basis and rhythm, right? It's basically just a rhythm piece. He actually said on going back to the archives here, he said that this was a kind of creative challenge for him because this was a song he didn't write on the keyboard, which I guess most of the songs up to this point had been. And so he said he was going for a lo-fi Tom Waits thing, which is interesting. I don't think of Tom Waits when I hear this, but I guess with the percussion, I can kind of tell that.
I agree. The vocals don't sound like Tom Waits per se, but the rhythm, and the fact that it's very rhythmic makes sense.
Surfing in Hell!
You surf now!
And this is a track we already talked about because it was on "I Would Be a Biggest Octopus." So if you want to hear our thoughts more in depth, at least where our thoughts were 4 years ago, listen to that episode and tell us what we said because I don't remember any of it. But I just remember liking the song. It's a good song.
It's a good one. I just wonder why he put it on this one. It's very interesting. Like, why did he pick this one?
Yeah, and maybe, like you said, it could be that the tapes just weren't uploaded to mp3.com at this point. So maybe it was just at this point it was unreleased. Or it could be also they were maybe underappreciated tracks on that album that maybe he wanted to showcase on this album.
Yeah, I think he did play this one live, so maybe it's kind of making it so people know the song for when he plays it live.
Maybe, although
my best explanation.
Yeah, that would make sense for the next track because Vision or Fusion is definitely not like I would say it's one of the highlights of Octopus for sure. So I don't know. It's very, very odd.
Fission, a nuclear reaction in which a single atom dwindles in coherency and splits apart in an explosion. No degradation, particles in motion with the evolution of about 100 million electron volts of energy. So you see that we have the capacity to cause a nuclear chain reaction in a fraction of the time it takes to blink your eye to annihilate a bit of our reality to make way for the freedom of humanity. It's the conversion of matter to energy. MC squared must equal E. Let me hear you say fission.
Rock the house.
Yeah.
I love how that just doesn't make any sense.
It is nice. Maybe we talked about this last time, but I'm just noticing again, like the trumpet. That's probably Tal Kopstein on the trumpet there.
It is, yeah. We probably discussed this, but this was made at the house we lived in Roanoke Park, and like Logan's room was upstairs. They were up there like working on it for hours, and then me and our other roommate came up, and he was like, "Hey, I need you guys to do this part." But I think this one's really good. This is I don't know if this is in my top 10, but it should be in my top 10.
It is definitely like a trademark Logan song, especially from that time.
And it's one of the best of the science songs. I think it's one of the top ones.
Absolutely. Speaking of science, or the lack thereof, Rumble Cookie!
I got my pants rolled up, I got my socks rolled down. I'm gonna meet you out by the edge of town. We're gonna rumble like a couple of cookies. Let our rumble in.
One thing I'm noticing as we're listening to these is like a lot of these songs are less than 2 minutes long.
Yeah, these are.
I don't notice that when I'm just walking around, but when I'm looking at the times, I'm like, oh, okay. You know, this song's like 1 minute and 6 seconds.
It's a fast one. It comes in and it doesn't overstay its welcome. So this is one exactly like you were saying. This is apparently one that he recorded all in one take. Like, this was completely improvised. Like, there was no rhyme or reason to it.
So you have to sort of like it in a different way. It's not it's not quote unquote good, but it as an improv, if as an improvisation, it has a certain flow to it. They're like, oh, that's pretty interesting that somebody would come up with that real quick.
Exactly. It's not something you would listen to in your free time at all, but it's a fun track when you know it's like, oh, okay, he's just coming up with this on the spot. And I'm sure again, like it was probably something he made to amuse like a certain person. Rumble Cookie might just be an in-joke.
But it definitely seems like I like his whole thing of doing different voices. It's some very strange person singing this song.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this voice is a good one. I don't know if he uses a similar voice in another song, but yeah, it's definitely. This was one that. Fun fact: when I originally downloaded this off of JuniorScienceClub.com way back when, I actually forgot to download this track. So I listened to this like over and over again. And then I realized like I had track 7 and I had track 9. And I was like, what the heck? And so I went back and sure enough I forgot this track. And when I downloaded it, I was like, oh, okay. didn't usually impact me in any way. But it's still good to have.
It got built up as like this great track from Logan I've never heard. Rumble Cookie. That's great.
Anyway. I like so these next 2 tracks are interesting, and we'll talk about them more when we get to them. But they're both live tracks, and it begins with Lizard and Fish live.
Lizard and fish, oh what a pair. One lived underwater and the other breathed air. On a shelf in a pet store on aisle 13, Lizard and fish would sit together and dream. And Lizard said, fish, how's the water today? And fish said, and said, somehow we'll both get away and be a refugee, Lizard and fish.
What I like about this recording, aside from the obvious things, is that he sort of messes up a lot. Mm-hmm. He like forgets lyrics and pauses and stuff, but because he doesn't care at all, and it's just actually kind of making him laugh, it's thoroughly entertaining, and there's no problem with it. It makes it better that he's messing it up.
No, that's a good point there to say, because there are like a lot of Logan live recordings where like in the spur of the moment, like either he forgets something or something, like the keyboard messes up or something, and rather than him being embarrassed by it, he just kind of like takes it and he just rolls with it. He's like, all right, guess I forgot that lyric, whatever. But I think that's what made his shows very fun. So this actually, Owen, you can attest to this. You were there. This was Logan's second concert ever, I believe. His first one opening for Frank Black. Somehow, I after interviewing everybody, I still have no idea how he opened for Frank Black. Like no one has a satisfactory answer there.
I think we were just we knew the people who did the booking at the Phoenix Theater.
Yeah.
And I think they just thought it would be a cool idea.
His first
Frank
show.
Black actually does, I don't know if we talked about this before, but Frank Black does have kind of a They Might Be Giants connection.
Yeah, I saw he was in that They Might Be Giants documentary, Gigantic. He did an interview for that. I don't know if there's a more direct link. Maybe you would know.
Well, around the time of John Henry, Christine and I went to see them like 3 times. And I think about 2 of the shows, Frank Black was the opener.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, so I think they're buddies.
Yeah.
And, you think of Frank Black as being this kind of more to the punk side of the spectrum and kind of very serious, very emotional.
Yeah.
But he definitely has a kind of quirky pop side to him.
He does. And it's more in his solo stuff too, like a lot more power pop kind of things.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is his second show after Frank Black, and this was in the lobby of the Phoenix Theater, and all this audio is actually taken from a tape recorded by Christine, and actually you can watch the whole concert on YouTube. It's all up on YouTube. We put it up there a few years ago. So if you want a visual representation of what's being here on audio, you can check that out. But like not having that tape at all when I first heard this and just having this to listen to, it is like you're saying like a really good representation of Logan live and the kind of spirit, and just like hearing his friends just kind of cheering him on and just laughing along and just basically just playing along with the whole thing. And I think, I mean, he says at the beginning that he doesn't have a backing track for this. I think this was the first time he played it live. I think this was his first performance of Lizard and Fish.
Yeah, or I think even later, I don't think he did this one with a backing track just because it has such a kind of piano part that is so, good on its own. So I think he just performed it that way.
Exactly. But yeah, I think this was his first time playing it live. You got Judah Nagler on the fishbowl. You got Christine recording the audio. And in the video, it's really funny to see you, Owen, because like you're sitting up front, like right next to Vanilla. Like right next to him. It's really hilarious.
I think what's funny about this, it kind of goes with the next songs, but we were talking about this, and you sent me that video, and I basically didn't remember it at all. I was gonna write back to you like, oh, I wasn't there, or maybe I did write back to you, I wasn't there, and then I see me on the video. So this is what it tells you about human memory.
To be fair, this was how long ago? 23, 24 years ago. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while, so I cannot blame you in the slightest. Although I think the next track jogged your memory, didn't it?
Yeah, I just remember it taking place like in the main stage inside the Phoenix.
Oh yeah.
But this video is kind of a lobby show.
Yeah.
So it's in kind of a smaller space that's a little more intimate. But I think I just saw Logan perform in both spots, and those kind of got merged in my mind as one thing.
That makes sense. A fun fact we heard from Tom Gaffey, who runs the Phoenix Theater, and he was saying like how he hated putting shows in the lobby. I don't know why, but he just like did not like it at all. Yeah, he didn't like it, but Logan loved it, and so he would let Logan play in the lobby because Logan would want to play in the lobby, probably just to have like a more intimate setting for his shows.
Yeah, it kind of the main theater can hold like probably 1,000 people or something. Yeah. I don't know, it might be an exaggeration, but it's huge, and the stage is up really high. Mm-hmm. And I think Logan's music is just a little better suited to kind of him being able to see everyone and talk to them.
Yeah, exactly. They are a lot more intimate, and you can hear like just how much it really thrives on like having that audience interaction and just like bouncing off of friends listening on and cheering on. It's just very fun, very fun. But yeah, let's go on to the next live track. This is probably the number one Logan Whitehurst song ever recorded, "Outside My Window." And he gets closer and closer.
So Logan absolutely loved this. He thought it was so funny.
It is funny how he eventually just like jams with it and basically starts playing "Monkeys Are Bad People," and everyone's into it. Like the clapping, like this random guy just like came off the street, and you can hear him in the video. He just starts like yelling like Bob Dylan lyrics in between Logan songs. Like he's just like some random guy who like he should not be there at all, but like he just starts singing the song, and the whole show goes wild. This is
Have you ever heard Captain Beefheart?
Yeah, he does have that kind of.
He sounds like Captain Beefheart, like this kind of like, like Tom Waits is very influenced by Captain Beefheart.
Oh yeah.
So he's got this very raspy voice, and he seems like he's on the verge of unleashing an improvised poem at any moment.
Exactly.
And then that's exactly what happens.
Wait. This was '99. This could be Captain Beefheart. Captain Beefheart could have just wandered into the Phoenix Theater one day, and this might be
I was there. This guy seemed like like really on the edge of insanity. As far as I could tell.
He
was
not look
pretty
good.
crazy. And I think in most cases, people would be like, get this crazy guy out of my show. He's messing up my show. He's talking during it. And he's obviously a madman. But Logan was like, does anybody want to make up lyrics? and so it's like this, kind of like we've been saying, it's sort of like this improv theater kind of impulse.
Yeah.
And so he loved it. That then the guy. And by the way, is this before "Monkeys Are Bad People" came out?
I think this was before the song came out, but I think he had written it by that point. Let me check the video. He may have even performed it at that concert. But yeah, it's definitely before it came out.
I feel like he had those chord changes for a while because he was like, before he wrote that song, like loved the chord changes and was always kind of playing them. So then he goes into that, and then the guy just starts improvising in that voice. It's really good.
It's actually like a really decent song. Like Logan himself, he actually when he performed at Northern Lights, there's another video of him performing, and he performs that song. He he actually plays "Outside My Window" and sings it the exact way of as the homeless guy does. Also, like at the tail end of the recording, you can hear him. I think his name was Fang, and you can hear him asking Logan. He's like, "Hey man, you got 35 cents? I need to make a phone call." and Logan's like, "Waffle's coming after you, huh?" I'm a waffle of death. And the guy's like, "Yeah, the waffle's after me."
He's like sitting there thinking about how this would sound when it was recorded. To say that,
this is
you could tell it kind of popped into his mind, like, "Oh, I'm going to use this."
Yeah, absolutely. So
really
it is. This is an absolute gem of a recording, and I'm very, very glad it happened.
So he must have been like listening to this in his car over and over again so that he could learn how to play it without Fang even being there.
I guess so, yeah, to like sing the words and like, yeah. I've seen familiar faces. I've seen smiling faces. Yeah, he had to have actually gone back and listened to what he was saying.
That's pretty. You do a pretty good Fang. That was pretty good.
Maybe it was me. Who knows? But all right, and so with that, we have one last track with Denture Doorknob. Again, another very, very short track. Bridge.
As I was on my travels, I came across a man who charged a toll to cross the trestle spanning Poo-Poo Ridge. I didn't miss the money, and since the name was funny, I laughed as I crossed the Poo-Poo Bridge. The end.
It's the Her Majesty of Denture Doorknob.
It really is. That's a perfect analogy for this. This is actually like a fairly popular Logan song.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, well, so this was back in the days of mp3.com, right, where downloading anything took forever. A lot of people downloaded this song because it was so small. And that's actually how like Al Brock got into Logan's music, and then they started corresponding, and Logan did that cover of What I Ain't Got that's on Earth is Big. But there's also a Lego animation to this song, and it's fairly popular. I want to say it has like 400,000 views or something like that. It's one of those artifacts from like 2007 YouTube. 700,000. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is
wow.
There are people who actually like probably have seen this animation and enjoy the animation and have no idea who Logan is. So it's very funny to think that.
I haven't seen that. I'll have to check out. Yeah, it's funny. It's like TikTok before TikTok.
Yeah, exactly. It's
thinking of this like micro content.
Yeah. And so yeah, I think it worked because it was just so short that people were able to easily download it, but also just enjoy it in a sweet little bit.
On that archive site, he says, "Oh, I drew my inspiration from Melville." Love that.
He only drew inspiration from the greats, the geniuses, in order to make these songs.
I laughed as I crossed the Poo-Poo Bridge. Wonderful.
That's how Moby Dick should have ended. I mean, let's be honest here. All right. So, that is Denture Doorknob. We now venture into the world of Mini Album of Love. So let's give new context here. We're fast-forwarding while it took us 4 years to record 2 different episodes of this podcast, it took Logan 4 years to record 2 different mini albums. Of course, he had some things in between, but we've already talked about those. So, Owen, can you talk about what was going on in 2003 when Mini Album of Love came out?
I don't know, Connor. My memory's not that good, but at this point, so I think the Velveteen was in full flight. That was probably Logan's main thing he was concentrating on, and I get the sense that when he put this out, that he had it sounds like he had finished recording "Goodbye My 4-Track," but it wasn't out yet, and so I don't know exactly why this exists, but I know that I actually have a physical copy of it. And it looks like he ripped them himself. It just has a sleeve, like a sort of envelope that it goes into. Yeah. And you can tell it's kind of has the art from Goodbye My 4-Track. So I don't know exactly why he made these, but I get the feeling that it was kind of like an ancillary side thing to Goodbye My 4-Track. Maybe to give away at shows or something like that.
Yeah. No, I agree. It definitely feels very complimentary to Goodbye My 4-Track. So I think both of them did come out at the same time. And yeah, like you said, it might have been like something he put out on for shows, like additional merchandising. But it's also interesting to think that all these tracks were probably recorded between 2000 and 2003. And there's a couple of tracks on here that they sound like they were outtakes. Like they sound like they were probably in the running for Goodbye My 4-Track, and then were just ultimately dropped for whatever reason. And then there are other songs that are just literally like Denture Doorknob, right? Just complete tests, just having fun, spur of the moment kind of thing. But you get that on a much more polished level, at least production wise. So it's really interesting to kind of hear how the impromptu-ness is evolved from Denture Doorknob and him mostly working with just a 4-track to now we have Logan playing with digital loops and a bunch of different kind of equipment, and so it's very interesting to hear how he takes advantage of these new technologies to kind of up the ante on even his spur of the moment kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And more covers as well is the other thing I think is notable about
this. Yeah, that is very, very nice. And I will say Logan covers are probably among my favorite covers. I think we talked about this maybe a little bit before, because I seem to recall you mentioning covers, and I agree with the statement, covers should be different from the original, right? They should have something new to them. I feel like with every Logan cover, you do have something new. Whether it be in the arrangement or just the delivery of the song, Logan adds something new to a song that he's covering that only he can kind of bring to the table. And that's why I really like his covers. And there are 2 on this. And so it'll be interesting to go over those in more detail.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of I always had the feeling when he did covers, it was kind of, again, like a thing to a different way to experiment.
Yeah.
So that he could try out different kinds of experiments, but without having to write the song.
Yeah.
And take it apart and see how it works.
All right, so we'll begin with the first track, which is the only track that appears on Goodbye My 4-Track, The Robot Cat.
So when I say roll, you say rock, roll, roll. When I say rock, you say cat, rock, cat. To the R, to the O, to the B, to the OTC, to the A, to the D. So when I say robot, you say cat, robot, cat.
I'm a little bit surprised that some major Hollywood studio hasn't used this song for something.
Yeah.
It's really good. The storytelling, the recording's pretty good.
The recording's good? And how about that guitar, huh? I know the guitar's pretty good.
What a sweet lick. Yeah. Actually, that's why I need Hollywood to pick this up.
Yeah, exactly. Where's your money, huh? That's the royalties.
We already talked about this on the Goodbye My 4-Track thing, but I had one new thought when I was listening to this, which was the lyric. It's something like, it slices, it dices, it catches the mices. I was thinking about that. I was like, it's weird. I feel like normally if I was writing a song and I couldn't think of a rhyme, I had to force the rhyme, that it would make the song worse. But mices, it's an incorrect word, but somehow it makes it better.
Yeah.
Does this make any sense to you? Like,
No,
it makes
he does that. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
like funnier that he's saying the wrong thing.
And he does that even with titanium, cranium, chip, and the branium, pentium, best representium. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's just, Logan's forced rhymes, they don't feel forced, they just feel like they're just of the moment.
Right, I think it's like, if you got the feeling that he thought it was good, then it would be bad. But because you know that he's just trying to make it funny, it makes it funnier that it is wrong.
Exactly. But yeah, no, I mean, Robot Cat is just one of those just really solid tracks. Like, this is, you can tell Logan spent a lot of time, like, getting it right, getting it down. I mean, and that goes for, like pretty much all the tracks on Goodbye My 4-track, really. But I mean, this one in particular is just like, it's just gold. It's just gold. So, with Robot Cat aside, we now have a whole 12 tracks that are brand spanking new, starting with Thing from Outer Space. So when I was exploring Logan's site when I was younger, he had a lot of links to other musicians and artists and stuff, and one of them was a band called Octagonally Yours, and this was a band out of San Diego that was completely based around the idea of using the Optigan, which was like a 70s like organ / drum machine / whatever. Kind of a novelty instrument at the time, and just making songs around that. All the songs are very much up Logan's alley, but that's where the drum loop in this song comes from. It's actually from an Optigan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him being really into that band and talking about it.
Nice. Yeah, and I think that's probably where he got the inspiration, was from that band doing that.
And what does it play? It is sort of like, it's kind of prefab what it does.
I guess so, yeah. I mean, I haven't looked too deep into what it was, but from what I know, it was like in the late 70s, they came out with this, and it was very analog, but essentially it was an organ, and it was also a drum. It had drum loops. It was essentially it was like a Casio keyboard before they could make like an electric keyboard, essentially. It was like an analog version of a Casio keyboard.
Oh, okay.
But this song is so freaking weird. And that could go for a lot of the tracks on this mini album. I was realizing as I'm listening to the lyrics, I'm just like, what is he talking about? Like, there are a lot of Logan lyrics that kind of teeter on that line of like surreal and silly, right? And like he kind of like will lean more into one or the other, or kind of like walk that line. And like in this song, it's just completely surreal. I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure most of the lyrics are just slogans. He says, "I am the choice of a new generation." And that's Pepsi.
Pepsi.
Working so you don't have to. America's troubleshooter. Like I know I've heard companies with those slogans, but I couldn't tell you what they were.
Well, Little Yellow Different is one that was from some sort of headache pill.
Oh, was it? Okay.
So yeah, I actually, when I listened to this song in preparation for this, and I don't think I'd even heard this one very many times.
Okay.
I think this one's a gem, actually. I think this one's good.
Yeah.
And I think you see Logan getting into a more interesting space with lyrics on this song, and it's kind of a little bit of a step in his evolution. So I don't completely understand it, but I think the fact that it has these marketing slogans in it, and then there's the end of the chorus is I'm a thing from outer space, so give me $1. I think it's kind of about like the commercialization of everything somehow.
Yeah.
And maybe like the idea is like even an alien will just be commercialized. Something like that is kind of, I can't like completely put my finger on it, but that's kind of roughly what it means to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I just imagine every time I hear this song, I just imagine like an alien on the side of the road with one of those cardboard signs. It's just like, "Give me $1. I'm a thing from outer space." It's actually, like you're saying, it's a really well constructed song. It's just so low key, like that you wouldn't think about it. But like the harmonies, like the lee 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 lee, like that's good. That's really good.
The only reason I can think where maybe this one got relegated to more of the mini album status is maybe it's just a little more mellow. It's not popping through with a lot of weird things about it. You kind of have to listen a little more closely. So I could see how it maybe lacks some of the sparkle of some of the songs that made it on Goodbye My 4-Track. But I think in terms of like craft of songwriting, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's still there, 100%. 100%. The next song is another odd one. We'll talk about it further when we get there. It is Flood Control.
Making noises in the backseat, telling me to stop and leave hard to control. It's a cheat sheet covered with a little diagram of a heart. It's a chart with the parts of the heart that controls the rate you can see. It's making noises in the...
I think this is another one of those, I'll call them sound check songs.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me. It's another one of those like, I had some time to record, so I just started doing something, and then I came up with this kind of experimental thing that does some interesting things with different voices going at the same time.
Yeah, it really plays with those vocal rhythms for sure.
Yeah.
It's fun to hear, like, because, again, when you hear, like, two voices going on at the same time, your brain, has a hard time differentiating one from the other. And so it's like a lot of like fun because like you'll hear one phrase and then something will sneak in from the other one. And Logan was really good at doing that. I think like you hear even on his earlier stuff, like he'll play around with like in Mr. Pity, like when he's singing like the bridge of Mr. Pity, he's singing like "What a Lovely Day," and in the background the background vocals are singing "I Hate the Government," and so like it's you can tell he really enjoyed playing with different vocals saying different things kind of thing, and this is just taken up all the way to the top.
Yeah, so I think it's not it's not commercial, but it is it's the kind of Logan mad scientist experimenting that I like.
Yeah, Logan's against the man. he's going experimental, man. This next track is a really good cover. It is Weep Day.
I never went to the tropical island, though everybody said they saw me there. And it wasn't me who punched a hole in at the West German protest march. Simultaneous events don't happen. We are isolated temporarily, and our fathers never gone the whole thing, though it bothers it to know it so. Every man is made of two opinions. Every woman has a second hand, and it's time to
I think what strikes me off the bat on this one, and this goes for at least one or two other tracks on the album, is that it sounds like a full band here, right? I mean, it's not so much based around like pre-programmed beats or like drum loops. Everything is live, right? The drums, the guitar, the organ, the trumpet, everything is just 100% like in the studio, so to speak. And so it's kind of nice to hear Junior Science Club sounding like live.
Yeah, so I think the way this one came about is like we were on mp3.com, especially Logan, and then Logan kind of became friends with this band called the Fullerenes through mp3.com, and then and they were from Michigan, and then he actually went out there to visit them. And I feel like this song is him hanging out with Clint from that band and then being like, we're hanging out, let's make a song together. And so, hey, we both like They May Be Giants, so let's do a They May Be Giants cover. And so I think that's basically what this song is.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what the song is. And I mean, it's a really, like, it's funny to think because, like, of all the They Might Be Giants songs you could pick, right? Like, what's the nerdiest one you could pick? Let's pick one from their very first demo back in 1983. Something that like only diehards will know, right? Like it's it's such a fun choice for a cover. it just shows like how much of a They Might Be Giants nerd Logan was, but it's also like really like polished, especially like if you compare it to the original demo. I think it was just literally like the Johns on bongos and keyboards. Like it was nothing, and so like having it fleshed out like this is like really nice, and it's like a really fun to hear.
Yeah, and you can tell they're having fun together, making it. I really like Clint's voice as well. When he sings back up, it's really he has a really great voice.
Yeah, no, his we use a big word here. His timbre it's just it is very nice, and like the Fullerenes on their own is just really fun as well. And so to kind of hear those two worlds colliding in this track is just like it's perfect. It's a match made in heaven. Yeah,
it's funny that I think that back at this time there was like so much optimism about the internet, and it was like so. You know, before you had to like press CDs. Now you could just put it up and people could download the music, and then like you could meet people who like the same nerdy stuff you like, and even though they live on like the other side of the country. And so this I see as like the culmination of sort of internet optimism and like the fun of that era.
Yeah. Exactly. I don't, and this might be a bit of a sidebar, but like going off the internet optimism, I don't think it's a coincidence. There was a lot of that, and a lot of those people were huge They Might Be Giants fans. I mean, like, if you look at, we mentioned earlier that They Might Be Giants documentary, Gigantic, like, in the late 90s, like, consistently, the top downloaded band or whatever at the time was either the Beatles or They Might Be Giants. Like, you know, all the They Might Be Giants nerds kind of flocked to the early internet as a place to kind of commune at that point in time. It's kind of interesting connection between the two.
Makes sense. Yeah. You're saying that nerds were more likely to be online.
Yeah. Go figure. But that's kind of where you got like the mp3.com kind of geek rock scene, right? Where like bands like Wilton Frog or Logan, S&M and Eminem, the Fullerenes, Triangle Man, right? All these They Might Be Giants fans kind of culminating and kind of making this digital scene of people who all enjoyed They Might Be Giants. So it's just very interesting. But yeah, no, like you're saying, the idea of going out in Michigan to meet someone you only met online and recording a They Might Be Giants cover was like, so it had to be so surreal at the time.
Exactly. I mean, I guess that still would be fairly rare now, but like the finding a subgroup online you would just take for granted. But like at the time, like you, even though They Might Be Giants are like super popular, you didn't meet that many people that liked them in your day-to-day life, you know. Even you know, it's like most of the bands that were around us or people we'd see at shows were into kind of like punk or ska, basically, and so it was exciting.
Nice. Yeah, and it culminates in a really rockin' cover.
Yeah.
Up next, The Box.
I didn't order any packages. I didn't send for anything. But there it was out on the patio. And so I brought the box inside.
What do you think, Owen?
I don't know if this is true, but in my mind I kind of connect this song with a song by the Velvet Underground called The Gift. Have you ever heard that one?
Oh yeah.
It's a spoken word song. My memory of the plot is like the character like ships himself in a package to probably a woman he likes, and then something gruesome happens. But this kind of story about a thing in a box. This is I feel like maybe Logan was influenced by that and making a very different story out of the notion of a mysterious package.
Yeah, no, I can kind of tell that. It's interesting with this song because, like this, there's a definite story here, and the story is like the inaction of this guy of like not opening this box, and kind of like you're saying, like taking the kind of absurd element of that and just making it really silly and really funny. It's interesting because this sounds like honestly, like this is a track I really enjoy, and it sounds like a one-off. Like it's like the loops in the background. You probably heard the loops and then just kind of like put the story over it. But something about it, I don't know, it's just like very nice. And it's also like, it's only a minute and a half long.
Yeah. The loop at the very beginning reminds me of Prosthetic Brain. So I sort of wonder if he sort of hit on that technique here, or was just harvesting it more.
Or the wind up, or the piano part.
It's like a manipulating a loop somehow.
Yeah, and he does that. I think he does that a couple times on here as well. It's a simple song, but it's really nice.
Yeah.
Now now we have Every Inch of My Body.
Every inch of my body, every inch of my body, every inch of my body. Every inch of my body, every inch of my body, every inch of my body. Covered in snakes. Covered in
So this one may have been based around loops.
It sounds like it's an experiment with like a sample library.
It's very fun, very throwaway. Honestly, like I wouldn't think about it much at all if it weren't for like the terrifying imagery of every inch of someone's body being covered in snakes. Like,
yeah, Indiana Jones would not like that.
No, he would not at all.
This is what happens when you give Logan a bunch of loops.
Yeah. He covers every inch of his body with disgusting things. All right. The next track. This is gonna be an interesting one. I'm very excited to talk about this one. Buckaroo Banzai is not just a movie.
Day after day, watching Buckaroo Banzai drive across the screen in his machine, making mincemeat of this plane of existence. Hey, his boss would say, there are customers waiting right here in a line. You're wasting time. There's a fellow here who needs some assistance. So he quit his job at the video store, tore off his name tag and walked out the door, jumped in his Beetle and the light turned green. When he got into bed he had the strangest dream of a giant explosion and a grisly scene of a skull in the burnt up body of a bug.
I have no idea what's going on in this. Like it sounds different than any other Logan song, and it sounds like he worked really hard on it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what it sounds like? It sounds like Devo. Like early Devo, like Are We Not Men era. I was listening to that not too long ago, and listening to that album, I was like, oh, okay, this is Buckaroo Banzai. Like, even, especially, like, there's a line where he goes, shattering windows from miles around. Like, it's him doing his Mark Mothersbaugh impression.
Yeah. And it sounds like a band playing. It doesn't sound like Logan at home with his machines.
Exactly, yeah. And this is another one that does feel like the whole band experience, essentially. And this is one, like this is one I'm genuinely confused as to why it wasn't on Goodbye My 4-track. Like you said, there's a lot of elements at play here, and a very intricate yet absurd story. This is another like underrated Logan song for sure, and it's very curious to kind of see it delegated to a mini album.
Yeah, if anyone hears this and knows more about it, I just have a feeling that he made this for something. Maybe he made it for some specific purpose, but that didn't work out.
For like a project or something? Yeah,
like somebody wanted a song for a movie or something. It just feels like it was made for some purpose.
Okay.
But I don't know what that purpose is.
Interesting. Yeah, I would be curious to know as well. So if anyone knows, we would love to know that.
Because I don't think it has the style of Goodbye My 4-track. It doesn't seem like he made it for that album, because it's kind of stylistically a little different. I
guess so. And maybe that's why it ultimately didn't go on there. I mean, Yeah, although the album's kind of all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. It is just like a really strong song though. Like just like this would probably be like the one song I would go to if I had to pick one song off this mini album. Yeah, I mean, Buckaroo Banzai is not just a movie.
Have you seen the movie?
I have. It's okay.
Oh, is it? I haven't seen it.
It's okay. It's like like it's another like I can see why Logan would have loved it. Like it's so absurd. It's about this guy who's like he's a rocket scientist and he's also like an astrophysicist and he's also a musician. He plays the piano and the saxophone. He's a master in kung fu. He's like he's just like perfect at everything he does, like everything he touches.
Okay.
It's definitely going for that kind of silly movie vibe, but the problem is, at least to me, the guy playing Buckaroo Banzai takes it way too seriously. Like he treats it like the guy's an actual serious dude rather than, you know. At the very beginning, he breaks through he actually crosses dimensions with his car. That's how the whole thing starts. Like he's like doing a speed test with his car, and he's able to like transverse dimensions or whatever. And that kind of sets in forth the rest of the plot of the movie. So it is loose. Basically, it's just based off of someone watching the movie being like, I can do that, and then trying to do that and dying.
Sounds like a sort of nerd fantasy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But a really funny nerd fantasy, and a well-done one. Honestly, Buckaroo Banzai is not just a movie. It is also a really good song.
And it's 4 minutes and 5 seconds long. That's how you know.
This is a ballad. This is a ballad. A Logan Wayhurst ballad. And then we go from that to what is probably the diamond of Logan Wayhurst songs, Shoes for Sale.
Doctor, doctor, my feet fell off in the snow when I went for a walk. I'm not a complainer by nature, you see, but I'm willing to pay, so can you help me, Doc? All he said was the frostbite is bad, and I might as well think about selling my shoes.
Okay, it's not a diamond, but it's still pretty good.
It sounds like he was like, maybe I'll write a song in 3/4 today.
My personal favorite part of this is like the breakdown in between the chorus and the verse. Like just the absolute like kind of dissolving the glitching voices and then going back to the guy who no longer has any feet.
Yeah, that it gets very chaotic. That's cool.
Indeed. It kind of reminds me of like a Shel Silverstein poem. Like I can see this being like in a Shel Silverstein collection or something.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. It's not going to make the top 10, but it's a fun little experiment.
Indeed it is. This next track, this is another one that I'm pretty sure this had to have been a Goodbye My 4 track outtake, just because it's so good. Skinny Dip.
Take off your spacesuit, take off your raincoat, take off your scuba gear, take out your earplugs, take off that plastic representation of Richard Nixon's head. Take off your neck brace, take off your snowshoes, take off your leather pants, take off your sweatshirt, take off your hairnet, and lose the tattoo of Richard Nixon's head. And skinny dip with me. Nobody will see.
So this is the song I was mentioning earlier that I love. I really like this one. And I remember him playing this for me like right after he wrote it. Okay. I feel like maybe he played this for me in about 2000, maybe 2001. So pretty far back.
Yeah.
And this is one of those ones that's done with the prefab sounds on the keyboard.
Okay, yeah.
It might have even been like a thing where he didn't even change it at all. Like it literally is just the music that came on the keyboard.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure about that. You know, some of the ones he did, like the three-legged horse, he's like pressing buttons to change chords.
Yeah.
But this one, I remember being like, you know, it was an exercise in writing a song. Like he got a new keyboard and had a demo track. It was like an exercise in that kind of thing. So like the gist of it is pretty obvious that it's like taking this sort of like smooth, sexy love song. And, you know, like even if you just heard the hook Skinny Dip with me, you would expect that it was going to be this sultry thing. But just having the taking off so many ridiculous things.
Even up till Richard Nixon, I was like, all right, this is just a little stripping off song, you know?
Yeah. I love how it gets to the point where the person's like actually taking out their body.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Take out your liver, your brainstem. Take off your neck brace. I love that.
Has Logan ever been skinny dipping? You would know this, Owen. Give us a scoop. Give us a scoop.
I find it highly unlikely, to be honest.
What? No, that's part of it. It's just,
but I think it's actually a really good tune. I like how it sounds.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny going back to that verse. You could kind of you could put that in like a spiritual context if you wanted to, right? Like the whole skinny dipping song essentially being like, because essentially this person has to take off everything material about them, right down to like their skeleton, right, to be skinny dipping, so to speak. So maybe it's about the soul. You could deep dive into this, and no pun intended, about like the spiritual aspect of skinny dip.
Yeah. It has that cleverness to the lyrics. So why do you think this one didn't go on the album? Is it too hokey?
It's just too good. It was, you know, Logan heard it and he's like, this is it. This is too good to be on the album. No, I honestly, like, the only thing I can think of is maybe the album was too long at that point. Or maybe it just didn't flow well, because you gotta admit, like, he put a lot of work into like how the tracks flowed on Goodbye My 4 Track. So I mean, it probably just couldn't find a good point for, or maybe it just wasn't a good counterpoint depending on the track listing.
Definite masterpiece. And, you know, I wonder if this was at all influenced by the Optagon that you mentioned before, like this, like using prefab things. It's kind of following that trend. Yeah,
no, and it absolutely might have been. Honestly, like, one of my favorite parts of the song is the chorus, like the chord change in the chorus. Like, I think, like, Logan's a master at, like, making weird chord changes sound, like, perfectly in line with what the song is. And the chorus chord change is, like, from, like, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but it's just, like, it's like the 4 chord of the key, and then it goes, it's like a major 7th that it just goes somewhere else completely, and then it comes back to the bass, and it's just like, it sounds right. It just gives it like a nice little spice.
Maybe it is one of those things where he's pressing the buttons to change the chords, because I know whenever he did that, he would try to mess it up.
Yeah.
Like, he'd try to see if he could do something wrong and how it would recover.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like you said that's what he did with Three-Legged Horse, but there it sounds like totally fine. The weird chord changes are weird when you think about them, but like in the song, they're like, all right, and it's kind of the same here. It's just like they make sense with the rest of the song somehow. It's like, is it Logan, or is it like your brain trying to make it work? I don't know, but it's just a nice touch. It really is. All right, we get to this song here, When I'm Dead. So this song definitely takes on a new context, for sure. looking at it by itself, and we'll go into that a little bit later, but just kind of looking at the song as it is, it's definitely like the darkest song on this album. Even without the context, it's very much like existential, right? And it's just kind of talking about like the little things like passing the butter, or who's going to clean the attic, that kind of thing, and then ending with like who's going to close my eyes. And it's just like, it is a very dark place to kind of go into, a very and I mean, he adds it with his kind of quirky production, the telephone sounds and the voice recording of the guy saying "I just laughed out loud," but that kind of makes it more like eerie, even as a song.
It does feel like he was thinking about what he was saying here. Like it's not just. I mean, it still has a level of which you can like feel like it's just silly, but I mean, I think people really do sit around and think about it. It'll occasionally pop into your mind like, oh yeah, what's going to happen to all that stuff I have in storage after I die? It seems like he's made a song about those kind of thoughts. But the butter line, I like the "Who will pass the butter when it's right in front of where I used to sit."
Yeah. It's like
really good, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's good imagery, right? Like you see it, like you can see the empty chair, you see the butter. It's like, it's a really mature song. It's a two-parter. We won't go into the second part because it was never officially released. But I mean, it's just, and then with the context of Logan and his passing, I mean, it's just kind of like, it just becomes so strange. It's just like, Logan was 26, 25 when he was in his mid-20s basically when he recorded this. And so like to have that level of like perspective on your death and then pass away like that, it's just so, I don't know, it's one of those weird coincidences that we'll probably just never get any closure.
Yeah, it's kind of on par with him having so many songs that have the word brain in them.
Exactly.
And getting brain cancer, it's kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, and then here he's literally talking about his own death. It's interesting. I guess you can pose a hypothetical. Would the song be as impactful if Logan was still alive?
I think, to be honest, I feel like it could be on without me even thinking about it. Mm-hmm. I feel, it's not musically the best song.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like the tune of it, like, jumps out or anything. I think if I don't remember paying a ton of attention to it when it came out, but I think if I did, I would have found the lyrics striking if I really listened to them. And kind of part of how we were talking before about how his lyrics were getting to have this more mature edge to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes around this time.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, this is probably, you can probably imagine this one coming out of like this like kind of secret band stuff that he was recording at the time, right? Like his kind of more serious phase of songwriting. It is like you're saying, like musically there's not much going on there. And I would dare say like if Logan were still alive, this wouldn't be like a song that would have quite such an eerie overtone. It would be a good song, and we would talk about it and be like, okay, yeah, that was good. A kind of downer, so you kind of have to. But it's definitely very strange. But yeah, I mean, for what it is, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely a progression in his songwriting.
Absolutely. I don't know if the same can be said for Burning.
Sounds like he was just trying to experiment with some algorithm in the computer.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm pretty sure the sample is from "Oh My God, I'm on Fire." Which is burning bright from head to shoe. And I think he just played with the pitch adjustment and just kind of went from there. I wouldn't be surprised, like obviously it's just an experiment, like a one-off, but I wouldn't be surprised if he made this just to put like after When I'm Dead, to kind of like balance out like the kind of like very serious song with like something just completely random, completely like off the cuff.
It's like comic relief, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I think this is probably like the most like I mean, we hear a lot of like off the cuff Logan songs, but they're still songs. This is literally just an audio experiment. So I think, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Logan did this just to have that kind of burst of comic relief.
That makes sense. Because, I think one thing I've noticed is now the songs that I look back on, and it seems like he was saying something really serious in them.
Yeah.
They're always like kind of couched in humor around them.
Yeah.
So there's probably a little bit of shyness around being so serious.
Yeah, no, I'm sure there was. He definitely, again, like there's very few serious Logan songs, and like when there are serious songs, like you're saying, they're like right next to really silly songs. Like Big Mistake, the cover on Earth is Big, is right between like Tokyo Narita and Farewell Hesperus. So like it just, yeah, he definitely tried to like balance, make the seriousness not so, I don't want to say impactful, but not quite a downer, basically. Like you wanted to kind of come up quickly from it and kind of move on. So from that transition birding, we go to Whole Day Off.
Have you seen my girlfriend? She lives in a pig pen. Have you seen my girlfriend? I can't seem to find her. Perhaps she is hiding underneath a blade of grass. Let's take the whole day off. Let's take the whole day off. Let's take the whole day off.
Yeah, so Oingo Boingo cover. Do you feel like Oingo Boingo has kind of become less popular over time?
Less popular? I guess so. I think it's one of those that's kind of relegated to like the people who really like people who like Oingo Boingo really like Oingo Boingo now. But I mean, yeah, at the time, I mean, they were very popular, weren't they? I mean, they had Dead Man's Party, they had a bunch of stuff. I mean, it was Danny Elfman's claim to fame before being Danny Elfman. Yeah, it's just, it's kind of been relegated to the side, probably because his score is just, you hear it and you see it a lot more than Oingo Boingo nowadays. But I think there's still a dedicated, like, group of people who love Oingo Boingo. I didn't know anything about them until this song, and this really kind of sent me down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean, they were sort of popular enough in the 80s that I would expect that I'd hear them more now, just on, quote-unquote classic rock stations, that they would come back, but I don't really hear them that often. But yeah, Logan was a huge fan, and
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if he got into Danny Elfman through the soundtracks first.
Yeah,
and then got, because he was definitely a big fan of the soundtracks, and but yeah, and it's interesting to hear him even doing like kind of a Danny Elfman voice on this.
Yeah, kind of going for that very unique sound of Danny Elfman's voice. Yeah, no, it's definitely, this is a good cover. I mean, again, it's all very it's not pre-programmed, but you can hear it's definitely like him playing on his keyboard, doing different sounds on the keyboard. There are like little things in it that like that make me really love this cover, and it's like at the end of the last verse, he says, he adds in a lyric. The original goes like, have you seen my garden? Nothing there grows like, nothing looks like plants. I hear their voices. Let's take the whole day off. And here he says, nothing that grows looks anything at all like plants. I hear the voices, and they say, let's take the whole day off. Like, it's just like little things like that.
Making it to the chorus.
Yeah, just like kind of delving further into that insanity. It's like I think of that every time I hear the Danny Elfman version. So it's just little details.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, the original is much more kind of rock, like a rock guitar, and it has horns and things like that. So it's kind of a synth cover. But I think musically, the thing that's interesting is there's a lot of kind of there's a lot of different playing around with samples throughout it.
Yeah,
like little like loops speeding up and slowing down. They're more atmospheric in most of the cases in this one.
Yeah.
But there is one spot where you can actually like,
yeah,
it sort of breaks down and the guy's speaking.
The guy speaking there, though. There's not a soul listening to this recording.
I was trying to search to see if I could find out what that's from. Do you know what it's from?
Oh, I have no idea. It's probably from like. It sounds like it's from like a gospel tape or something.
Yeah.
Like the way the guy's talking is like appreciating the flowers. And he probably says something more like, "There's not a soul listening to this recording who doesn't think that God isn't real," kind of thing. And
that's exactly what I thought. He's like
I'm sure
chopping
he
in the
says-
middle of the sentence.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a good kind of like number or like official number to round out this this mini album, because much like Denture Doorknob, we end this mini album with a very small song, Fish Catalog, improvisation number 1.
I went to the firehouse to get myself a catalog of all the different fish that I could buy. Why'd I go to the firehouse? Why'd I go to the firehouse to get a catalog of fish? I don't know why. Oh, the end.
Some of the best sequels are the ones never made. I'll just say that. Fish Catalog improvisation number 2. We were robbed of that.
This sounds like it could be Logan playing guitar. Because it's kind of bad.
I'm pretty sure it is. It's it's just such a fun like little piece in time. It's like another one that it sounds like he's just like, I need something to close out this album. Let me just record something real quick, and he just stuck it on there.
I think like one of the biggest hallmarks of Logan's music is like, I mean, it's like almost half of the songs end and then he says something, some little like phrase at the end of the song, and then this is like doing that for the whole album.
Exactly.
Basically, what he likes is these like error moments. Not
Yeah, precisely. Like actually, and this is something we probably should mention this in Buckaroo Banzai. He has like a blisters on my fingers reference. But instead of saying I got blisters on my fingers, he says put your pants on. Like at the end, like when the drums are finished, and he's just like put your pants on.
Yeah. I think I talked about this in the podcast before, but the blisters on my fingers thing, like he brought that up to me as like he was explaining to me how he loved that in the White Album.
Nice. No, it's like you can definitely hear that in this too. Like, yeah, he definitely loves those little moments of just like there are little moments, or like even in Skinny Dip, like there's a point where he burps and it's just like, oh, excuse me. He just keeps going. Yeah, and there is a charm to that. It's like hearing those little moments, knowing that the person making this is in fact like just the guy like recording himself having fun.
Yeah.
It just shines through. But so that was Mini Album of Love. Do you have any last thoughts on the Mini Album of Love, or on Denture Doorknob, or on both?
I don't know. I'm kind of sad, Connor. Now we've done all the albums. What are we going to do with our lives now?
Well, actually, as it turns out, we haven't done all the albums. There's been one album that's come out since we've talked. Missile Loganus. We have one more, and then we can go to our respective corners and rot away.
Oh, good. That'll keep us busy for 4 years.
It will. Another 4 years, we'll get there. I think this one, though, I've been going in depth on it. I think it'll take 6 years. I think we got to get this one just right.
Okay, good. Yeah. See what kind of ratings we get on this one. And
absolutely.
We'll have to
absolutely. Yeah. When this episode gets 1 million views, then we'll begin considering planning the next episode.
So definitely you need to, all listeners, please share this with 100 of your closest friends.
Yes. Or share this with 8 of your closest friends, or else you will die in 7 days. A ghost will come and haunt you. We're bringing chain emails back with this episode. But no, I mean, thank you guys who are listening. Thank you to those of you who have listened to all the earlier ones, and thank you to those of you who may just be starting on this one. And if you are starting on this one, what are you doing? Start at the beginning. Don't skip ahead. God.
Or at least do
That's
good
just
by
rude.
my 4-track. Do good by my 4-track first.
Yeah, come on. At least go by my 4-track. Earth is big, very I can't believe you. You just skipped ahead to the newest episode without listening to the other ones? Really? God, I'm so mad at you. I just can't. I can't do this. Makes me so frustrated, Owen.
I don't know. Maybe we should just take any listeners we can get.
No. Yeah, no, absolutely not. I have a very strict criteria for a listener. Anyway, what are we doing? Let's get out of here. Let's go back to our lives. This has been Connor Nyberg.
And Owen Otto.
Signing off. Talk in the microphone.